What's up, guys? So today we're taking a look at the PC case behind me. It's the Gamdias Neso P1, and it might take inspiration from the likes of the Lianli 011 Dynamic or the Height Y60 that really made this type of form factor mainstream, but it adds on so many extra benefits, features, and customizations that really make this Neso P1 far and above one of the best PC cases, if not the best PC case of 2023 and probably 2024. So, of course, this case definitely does borrow from the likes of an 011 Dynamic or a Height Y60, both in terms of overall dimensions, but then also some of the design key points on this case, like the Height Y60 kind of geometric pattern on the top and side panels, very similar to what you might find on this Gamdias Neso P1, but they're really taking the best of the design aesthetics and the best of the worlds that of cases that already exist, and really infusing it into this Neso P1. And it still has its very, very unique characteristics, specifically the shape and the form factor that you're able to use this case in. So from a shape perspective, it's not a rectangle whatsoever. The Height Y60 is still pretty much a rectangle with a corner cut out of it. This thing is very, very different. It's more of like a trapezoid shape, rectangular at the back, kind of angled at the front. And it has this curved glass edge, maybe not glass at the actual meat of the point at the corner, but it's completely glass all the way around, and the panels open up on both sides. I have them open right now, and this thing just looks super, super sick. Like at this point, with the panels wide open, it's pretty much like an open top test bench, but with the panels closed, this thing just looks fantastic, and the shape is just really, really, really unique compared to anything else on the market. But it doesn't just stop there with the capabilities and the customization and the aesthetics of this case. So you can use it like this, and as a vertical form factor, the typical way you might use or see a case, but you can also translate the feet from the bottom to the back of the case and use it more in a flat configuration, more as like a server type setup, if you have room, of course, on your desk. But it's really nice that Gamdias has built in this functionality into the actual case itself, so you can use it in a bunch of different ways. If you want to sneak it maybe underneath a desk or really show it off somewhere, you can definitely do that with the feet on the back, or you can leave it as is, really make sure you're optimizing your desk space and still make this thing look super, super sweet. And maybe more of a little subtle design cue is the front I/O on this case. It's at the bottom edge of the case in this orientation, on the top left of the case in its other orientation, but it's just very cleanly and subdued design when it comes to the front I/O. You do get this little touch of yellow from the USB 3 ports, a USB-C, the power button very cleanly finished into the side of the panel, and then you also do get front audio. Overall, from a design perspective, this thing might be the best looking case out on the market, but it doesn't stop there. Gamdias took it to the next level, both in terms of build quality and customization of this thing, as well as making this case one of the easiest PC cases to build inside of. So let's just jump into all of the features, the functions, and the capabilities of this case when it comes to both its engineering and what it's like to actually build inside this case as a gamer. So in terms of the actual build quality of this thing, all these panels are removable. So the glass panel very easily comes off. The top panel, extremely easy to remove. It does use some plastic nibbins to kind of lock in. So the plastic it does have a chance of breaking off. It's happened on some other cases that I've owned. But in terms of the actual support of this case, you get up to a 360 millimeter radiator and a couple of different functionalities in terms of how you're going to lay out your fans that can be installed in the top of this case. The back is just a thumb screw, and then it locks in at the bottom, and that can very easily be removed as well. And you have so much space back here in terms of cable management, 90 millimeters in terms of the cable management channel, but you also have that slot there for a 420 millimeter radiator, so up to triple 140 mil fans that are 80 millimeters thick with your radiator. And then that's where your power supply is going to be installed, room for 2 hard drives or up to 4 SSDs. You also have a tray in there to install a control box for LEDs and RGB and stuff like that. And instead of installing your 420 mil radiator, you can also install 3 SSDs there as well. And then you also do get this whole slot at the bottom of the case for some fan install as well. So another 3 120 or 140 millimeter fans. And this is actually how you remove your feet. So you can take off the rubber pad, unscrew it, and then you would install it on the back. And you do have a magnetic dust cover on only the back panel. Both the top and the bottom are a installed forever type of film, so you will have to just kind of vacuum that off or dust it off when needed. But the really cool functionality of this case is the ability to go from horizontal to vertical GPU mounting. So we can just unscrew the back entire kind of GPU bracket support system and then screw it back into its vertical configuration, and then you can install your GPU vertically. And you have a whole bunch of room inside of this case. It's a huge interior, fitting up to 426 millimeter long graphics cards and air coolers up to 193 millimeters. Just a lot of space, which makes the building of your PC in this thing a breeze. When you get the glass panel off, you can take the front panel and move it out of the way. This thing's so easy to build in just because you have so much room to kind of play around with, and everything's very easily accessible. So for me, it was throw in my motherboard with the CPU cooler, the 360 millimeter rad already installed. I did notice that I couldn't actually install the radiator all on the bottom of the bracket. It would interfere with my CPU power connectors. So I did have to then take all the fans off of my cooler. You can see how dusty it is, and then reinstall the fans with the fans kind of sandwiching the actual radiator bracket between the radiator and the fans themselves. So once that's done, it's very, very simple to then kind of just slot the whole bracket with the radiator connected to it back into the case and get it installed. And now you have all the clearance in the world for any cables that you're going to route through the top of your case. Again, this is like the easiest build that I've ever done in terms of motherboard and radiator install. And then for me, I'm going to use the bottom of the case to install my other set of 3 120 millimeter fans. I'd love to use the other vertical fan locations. I just don't have enough fans. I'll buy those later and install those at a later date. But for the maximum amount of cooling, it just made more sense to throw them in the bottom. And then from a PSU install and just like a cable organization and routing and wire management perspective, this case is such an easy case to build in because of how much room you have in the bottom of this thing or the back of this thing. I was able to just easily route the 24 pin, get all my CPU power cables connected, route my GPU power cable in there, and I have so much room back here still for whatever else I might need to do, which isn't a whole lot. But we're going to get our HDD cages installed, which again is a super easy process. You can slide out the cage, install your hard drive, and then slot it back in. The one thing I did happen to notice is that the back panel is actually hitting up against my power supply, leaving just a little bit of a gap between the side and the back of the case. And then from a vertical GPU perspective, super easy install. Get my ribbon cable in there, get the PCIe riser cable in there, get the graphics card installed, power connected. And building this thing is just so easy. Overall, the Gamdias Neso P1 is definitely a case to consider for your next PC build. I mean, as we covered in this video, the design aesthetics of this thing are just super unique, even though they may be similar to some other players on the market. This thing definitely separates itself in terms of the build quality incorporated with the design. So the different kind of trapezoid shape combined with the glass panels that meet up so seamlessly and function so well, the push button for the door, everything's just very well thought out with this case. And you get so much customization opportunity with this case as well, the horizontal versus the vertical GPU mount, so much room for cooling, a 420 millimeter radiator on the side, a 360 at the top, even more fans at the bottom. This thing is a dream to build in because of how spacious it is and how easily all the panels are able to be removed. Overall, from design to build quality to building experience inside of this case, it's just an overall winner, both as maybe one of the best PC cases of this year, but possibly also next year. So definitely one to consider if you're looking to build a PC in the near future. But if you have any other questions or any comments about this case, definitely leave those down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, get subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.